Welcome to Keep It 100 Oakland High School Sports on this Sunday afternoon, folks. Yes, I said Sunday as we kicked off another great episode of Keep It 100, folks. We're going to have a special guest with us today. We're going to have the defensive coordinator and head golf coach of the Carl Albert Titans. He's going to educate me a little bit on golf, folks. Golf, like I said, golf. I don't know nothing about golf, but I'm getting educated. But I know this guy's a great defensive coordinator. It's helped the Titans with many titles. They got number 20 this year. We're going to bring on the head coach. The head golf coach and the defensive coordinator, Coach Herbert. Here we go. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Hey, what's up, my man? Just excited to be here. Thanks for having me. I just want to say thanks for how you promote high school sports. It's a big deal. So really appreciate what you do and highlighting our kids and really just across the state. It's really awesome.
No, Coach, I appreciate you coming on, man. I figured, man, football's over, but I know you're going to you jump off your season with golf starting tomorrow, right? Your first tournament?
Yes, sir. Yeah, right off the bat. Yeah.
Right off the bat. Well, Coach, I know you. I know a lot of people around the state know you, but for people that don't know you, tell us a little bit about your background and all the things, places you coach and the positions you coach and everything else. A little bit about that.
Okay. Well, my journey in coaching started year after I graduated from Cameron University. I was a GA for the baseball program at Cameron University. At the same time that I was a GA for Cameron University, the head baseball coach and wide receivers coach here, Coach Ryan Whiteley, was playing on that team. So I've known Coach Whiteley a long time. But then I went from there, and my very first job right out of the box was Robinson Middle School, 7th grade defensive coordinator in Plano Independent School District. I was fortunate to land a job there because of my baseball background. I played baseball in college, so I got to know a guy, played with me. His dad was the head coach of Plano West, so I went down there for a year. From there, who's now my father-in-law, Clarence Madden, he and I lived together in Greenwood, Arkansas, worked with Rick Jones at Greenwood High School. Really great place over there. I know a lot of people know about Greenwood. And so kind of got to do 7th, 8th, and 9th grade football there. It was an awesome experience for me because my father-in-law is an unbelievable offensive line coach, and he's probably one of the best coaches that I've ever met or been around. So living with him for 2 years in Greenwood in a 2-bedroom apartment was sort of like coach's school for me, and I feel like I was kind of learning from a professor at a university, because he's just so good. But I coached O-line and D-line at Greenwood, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade levels. Was lucky enough to get welcomed on to help out as a junior high coach with the high school varsity guys. I really latched on to Kenneth Chick, who's currently at Springdale High School in Arkansas. Rick Jones, obviously, great man, great coach. He's the special assistant to the head coach now at the University of Missouri, Eli Drinkwitz. So I was really fortunate to get to be around a really good group of guys there. From there, I transitioned back to Oklahoma, and I worked with who's now our tight ends coach here. Boone Copeland was the head coach at Eisenhower High School, and really like a big mentor of mine, Larry Derrick, who was the defense coordinator at the time and just a great friend of mine. I got to work with him and Mike Burris, who's a longtime coach, and some really good guys on that staff. So I was there for about 3 years, and then I transitioned to a defense coordinator's position at Cache High School, which is a 4A program, just west of Lawton. Really, really good opportunity there. And then after a year, I became the head coach, and kind of fast forward through that, we had a really good time there. My staff was really loaded up. Some guys, obviously Coach Madden was there. Coach Larry Derrick was there. Coach Ryan Whiteley helped me out as well as an assistant coach. And also Poe Guy was an assistant coach for me there at Cache. And then when Coach Corley got the head job at Carl Albert here, he needed a linebackers coach, he needed a wide receivers coach, and he needed a no-line coach. So myself and Coach Whiteley and Coach Madden, we all fit the mold, and we were very fortunate to get the opportunity, and very grateful for the opportunity to get to come here and be a part of this, really terrific program, and not just football, but the school, great leadership, and just really, really fortunate, and really just just happy to be here, honestly. So yeah, that's kind of my journey in a nutshell.
Yeah, Coach. So how long have you been at Carl Albert now?
This was my 9th season. Got here in 17.
Uh-huh.
You know, moved up here in the summer of 17. Got settled in. My wife was still working in Lawton, actually at Cash as a speech pathologist. Same with Coach Wiley, and they were traveling back and forth, and we came up here and jumped right in, and just really got going quick.
No, it's year in year out at Carl Albert. You can see you guys got just hit number 20 gold ball. I think that it was 8. I think it was the leading candidate with 19 gold balls, and you guys just
Yes, sir.
got them. Then you just bypassed them this year. So what's it been like coaching Carl Albert? Because I said you've been under Coach Corley. I was going to ask you wasn't under Coach Rose at all, just Coach
No,
Corley,
sir.
right? So what's it been like going from Coach Corley to Mike Dunn? Somebody's probably a little bit younger than you, but he has the Carl Albert Titans background, and like I said, I feel like Mike's a great coach. That he lets you guys do y'all thing. He's not a micromanager coach, and so that's why I think about seeing y'all staff. That's why people don't leave, and that's why people want to come here, because what you guys have, and you've been a defensive coordinator. What does it bring to you? Because year in year out, you have one of the top defenses in the state.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, we're just really fortunate, like you said, to have high school is such a deal where every year you've got a new set of guys. You're going to have those smaller percentages of players that are 3-year starters, 2-year starters. We're going to be very fortunate this next year to have that. But coming in with Coach Corley that first year, he called the defense, and I continued just to coach. I coached linebackers and tight ends. So I was able to get to work with Coach Johnson and Coach Madden as well on the offensive side and really learn what we do offensively and how we call things and how they game plan. Obviously, I'm more of a defensive-minded guy. I just always have – I don't know what it was, but I gravitated to that just in general. When I went to like my first job in Plano, I didn't know what I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Like I knew nothing about football, but I knew that I enjoyed the aspect of defensive football. So when I got here, really good staff. Coach Corley is obviously he's a defensive mind. He's a really good defensive coach. So learning under him, the system that we were using at that time, him and Coach Goff, Coach Farley, who's still on staff, is just a wealth of knowledge. We've added guys every year to a staff where we may have lost this or that, we've gained, and Coach Michael Evans and Coach Matt Vineyard and now Coach Cornelius Douglas. But under Coach Corley, we had Coach Goff and we had Coach Tony Borum, and those guys have been around a long time, really good coaches. So we've always had a really good staff and guys that are really bought in. I think that's really important. Just bought into the idea of the defense that we want to create. Obviously, transitioning to defensive coordinator when Coach Corley wanted to move out of that role, and he trusted me with that, which really meant a lot to me because I got great respect for Coach Corley and all the coaches on the staff as we've gone through. But for a guy who's a head coach that we just want a state title, and he trusts me to take over the reins as the defensive coordinator, that really meant a lot to me, and I appreciate his trust in me to do that. We ended up really we thought in 17 that we had one of those defenses that was going to be hard to replace, but we had a lot of young guys. We had a really good JV season in 2017, and we thought, man, these guys can really be something. And come to find out, 2018 game 1, we're playing Midwest City, and I remember sitting there on that Saturday after we beat Midwest City in that game, and Midwest City was a good football program, good team, still is a good program, but they were a really good team that year. And I remember sitting there watching that Saturday, and I called Coach Corley over there, and I was like, this one particular play from the end zone copy, I said, we look way fast, I said, I'm not sure how good these guys are going to be because they were all juniors. I mean, they were 100% juniors. And so, and then it kind of led to, Coach, obviously we had, good years, a good run, 18, 19, 2020, terrific class of kids. And it's kind of funny. That's the banner behind me here. I came up to the school to meet with you here, and the banner behind me was that 2020 season, which, that one sticks out for a lot of reasons. Obviously, that was a rough year of different things, but that we dealt with, just in but just a really special group of kids. And it seems like every year that's what we have is a really special group of kids that they just want to continue on the, I don't know, the Titan way, I guess you could say. You know.
No, it's funny because me being a guy that played at Midway City, and a lot of our kids are at Carl Albert now, and it's really weird to say, man, my kid's a Titan. My daughter graduated from there and ran track and was a cheerleader, and then my boys went there, so I transferred them out, and then Zoe's there, and so it's been a difference, and it's everything in my house used to be black and gold, and it's like now, I woke up this morning and I said, man, it feels good to be a Titan,
Yeah.
The girls punched their tickets to the state to the
sir.
state tournament, and the boys. And I said, that's a great feeling as a dad to, see your kids. And you know what it's like having your younger ones, going to end up being Titans. So it's, times has changed because the 90s was all, Midwest City, the Gundys and all that, and the Woods and the DeQuazies. Now, all the turns have changed. One of DeQuazies boys graduated from, Carl Albert was a state championship quarterback, so. It's really crazy, but I think one thing that Carl Albert has done a lot, and I think that, and you kind of talked about it. It's kind of like how Mississippi was back in the 80s and 90s with Dick Evans and Coach, Dick Evans, and then I'm trying to think of the head coach that was there for a little Huggins and Coach Smith and all those guys. They was on the staff for years and years and didn't go nowhere. And I think that's what Carl Albert's at. Yeah, you might lose somebody, but you're going to bring somebody in that already fits the puzzle. That's not going to overextend himself or what the team's already doing. I think it does. That's like I said, one thing with Mike, he kind of let you guys do your thing. So I think you guys got a great niche, and that's why kids want to go there. And if you're not a big time football player, you're not living in Bigsby, why not come to Carl Albert? So I think that's one thing that you guys do a great job as a staff. And then you guys are always there promoting each other. It's funny because you talked about being a baseball guy, but you're a golf coach. So did you ever not coach baseball in high school or college?
I coached. So my first job, I coached in college. I was a GA at Cameron University. I did summer ball teams.
Okay.
Back when the American Legion was a deal, Coach Wiley and I actually coached the American Legion team together. When I went to Plano, I did 7th grade and 8th grade track. And then when I went to Greenwood, I was a 7th, 8th, and 9th grade track coach, just an assistant. Just did like one event.
Yeah.
When I went back to Eisenhower, I ended up coaching again with Coach Wiley at Eisenhower for a few years. And then when I went to Cash as a head football coach, Coach Wiley was the head baseball coach, and he and I coached together out there. I was an assistant baseball coach while I was the head football coach. That's kind of the difference, I think, sometimes in the 4A and lower classes that you're going to help out where you can.
Yes, sir.
But I've just been really drawn. I was always really drawn to golf. Actually, my wife and Coach Wiley's wife, Jennifer is my wife. She played golf in college.
Okay.
So she played at UCO and then Cameron University. So always been into golf, And then my first year here, Coach Mike Goff was the golf coach, and he got out after the first year, and I was able to jump into that spot in 2018. And I've got to be a part of it, for these last 8 years.
So I know, like I said, golf season kicks off tomorrow, and you guys are I don't know how they do the rankings. I don't know that much about golf. So do you guys get ranked? I know they talk about Bishop, Bishop Kelly's one of the top-notch teams in 5A. So how do they do that? If you can explain to me a little bit about the rankings, and then tell me a little bit about some of the guys you got this year, because I know you got some up-and-coming freshmen that can do some big things and help the team compete for a state championship.
Yeah, I think I've got a really good squad. I've got some guys that have been around for a few years. I've got a senior who has ever since he was a sophomore, he's made the state tournament 2 years in a row. So that's been big for him, And and then I've got a junior, Kathan Perucci. So I'll kind of talk about those individual guys, but I'll just tell you how it works. So we get to go to 7 events in the spring that cause us to lose instruction. So like tomorrow is one of those days, right? So when every player that goes to the playoffs in golf has to compete in at least 2 events, 2 OSSA sanctioned events. We used to just do our paper cards, and we'd go out, have a tournament. Kids would keep a scorecard. They'd come in, coaches would get their cards. They would turn them in to whoever the host was, and we would post those scores on a paper leaderboard outside, somewhere. And then at the end of it, we would figure out who got first, second, third, all that good stuff. And then we would go online and we would post our scores, team scores and individual scores. And then people would rank us, and we would have a ranking sometime mid-April where they would rank us 1 through 16. They would say, all right, here's the teams on the West, here's the teams on the East, and they'd rank 1 through 16.
Mm-hmm.
And they would do the same thing on the East, and then we would go into a regional, and you had to play the regional tournament to get to the state tournament. Okay. And then there's qualifications you have to meet to get there, like being in the top 6 as a team or an individual as far as by total score. Well, now we use an app system, which is a live scoring system, which is actually pretty cool because parents can, if they can't be at the tournament, they can monitor along.
Yes.
They can see the scores as they're entered, very much like colleges are doing. And so now we don't have to do any ranking system because they use the ranking system that this app produces for our team. So they take all 30, I think it's 38 teams in 5A that play golf, and they'll break us up into the top 16 teams each side to go to the regional. So there will be some teams that don't make it. One thing that's different about Oklahoma high school golf is that we'll play 36 holes in one day. So we will play 36 holes of continuous play where we start, like tomorrow, for example, is a 36-hole event. We're going to start at 8:30 a.m. and those kids they're not going to stop moving until 11 and a half hours later. So
man, that's tough.
Yeah. So if they start on hole 1, they're going to play 18 holes and they're going to go right back to hole 1 and start again. And, it's a 4.5, 5-hour round, sometimes longer, depending on how congested these tournaments get. And, it's a little bit mentally grueling, I think. Obviously, walking 36 holes, you're probably going to walk somewhere between, depending on the course, 13 to 15 miles, carrying your golf bag, and I know that golf doesn't sound real physically challenging because of the way people view golf from the TV, and when they go out and play on the weekends in their golf carts. But these guys they're going to pick up those bags and they're going to walk for 11 and a half hours straight, never stop moving. And it gets pretty tiring, So we're going to do 4 of these 36-hole events before we get to the regional because it'll help us get ready for the regional. Because if we didn't play 36 holes before we got to the playoffs, then we would be acting like a football team that only played 2 quarters instead of 4 quarters until they got to the first round of the playoffs. So that's what I tell my guys. If you want to put yourself in a chance to win a state title, then we're going to have to play these events, and it's a little bit harder, so it's the game we play and we're going to go play it. So
how do you pick the starting lineup? How does that go?
Okay. So like, for example, I've got 14 players right now on my golf team. We have varying levels of golf, obviously. We've got guys that can go out there and can shoot under par to guys that are more, I would say, in the developmental phase of their game where they're just, out there trying to get better. And the way I pick 1 through 5 is like we just did last week. Mm-hmm. We had 3 match events with other high schools. So like, for example, Monday, we went and played Norman over at Earlywine. Mm-hmm. Tuesday, we went and played Bishop McGinnis at Lincoln East. Thursday, we hosted Choctaw at John Conrad. So last week was the first week we could start meeting up with other schools. So what I try to do is get 8 9-hole rounds, as many as I can get with other schools, where I can rank my players 1 through 14 on average score with 9-hole scores. And then I'll keep stats like, fairway percentage, how many greens did they hit in the 9-hole round, how many putts did they have. I keep all that stuff just because it's good stats for them to look at and see what do I need to get better at to lower my scores. But also if I've got a close mat, if I've got 4-5, 5-6 or close, well, I'm going to have to make a choice on that. How am I going to do that? Am I going to base it off of this? Who's playing better at the time? There's not really any coaching decisions going on. Most of the time it's answered by, let's go out on the golf course and figure it out, because that's what's great about golf. It's not subjective. I mean, they're going to go out there and play for a score, and whoever has a low score goes on. It's a qualifying sport, So it takes a lot of the ball out of my court, and And that's not easy sometimes because all these guys want to get to go to the varsity tournaments. They want to be in the top 5, but sometimes the scores are just the scores, and that's how it goes. But so, and then when we go to a tournament, because you were saying you know nothing about it at all, I'll just tell you, there's 5 guys that play. Like tomorrow, I got 5 guys that are going to play. They only take the 4 best scores from your group of 5. Okay. So if I got 4 guys that shoot in the 70s and 1 guy that shoots an 80. His score is going to drop that round, but he has a chance in the next 18 holes for his score to matter for us. So you're never all the way out of it in a 36-hole event, which I think is why it's a good thing that we go do it, because it gives guys another opportunity. If they don't play well their first round, then they've got that second round to hopefully help the team out, because it's always good to have a really good drop score, because that means your team played really well.
Now, is there a JV squad too, or is it just varsity only?
Well, I try to do my very, very best of getting my 1 through 10s or my 1 through 9s, get them as many tournaments as possible. So if they're a top 5 guy, they're getting 7 events for sure. They're going to get all their events. I do have a JV schedule set up where 6 through 10 ranking wise, 6 through 9, there's kind of sometimes there starts to be a big separation in scores as you go down the seeding. But I'm going to try to get them their 7 tournaments as well. I can for sure this year get everybody in 4 tournaments. So I feel pretty good about that,
That's good stuff. Now, how much did you spend on the golf course? I mean, you said your wife was a golfer, so I'm pretty sure she's probably a little bit better than you then, right?
Yeah. She's really good. She just doesn't play anymore. She doesn't, she wants to, but we got the 2 kids and, she likes to play in scrambles and she likes to go out and have fun and not really play for big time scoring, because she did that for so long. She's just kind of more of just, let's just go out there and have a good time on a summer evening, but, it's funny when you take a golf job, you think in your mind that you're going to play more golf, but actually you play less. I mean, you're just at the golf course, I can't remember the last time that, during the golf season, there's maybe 1 or 2 times that I actually get my clubs out there and go play, because when you got 14 guys at a practice, there's something to be done, so, I'm either sending guys out on the course to play, or I'm working with some guys at the range or the short area. And then, that's the other thing about golf is sometimes these guys just got to handle their own progression.
Yeah.
And they know what works for them. And I'm really just there to facilitate and, get them to the tee on time, and, it's like your podcast is keeping it 100. Well, I always say we want to keep it under 100.
Yeah.
On the score.
That's it. It seems like a lot of these young men are starting to get golf simulators, and those things seem pretty cool. My swing is horrible, so I would never get on one. But it seems like a lot of these kids are getting those to work at home and get the practice on that. And I watched the show the other day. I think it was Tiger Woods and some guys, and I was kind of flipping through the channel, and it's like they're playing on a simulator, and one dude hit a long birdie or something, and they won and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it seems like that's getting very, very, very popular, the simulators. And those things ain't cheap either, I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah. Now that deal, that's way cool. The TGL, which is that golf league they play in, it's simulator golf, but it looks like real golf, when you're watching it. But we're very fortunate here. We had a great booster a few years ago. His sons came through here, and he bought us what's called the TrackMan. The TrackMan, they talk about it at all PGA events. Like whenever they show the shot tracers on a PGA event, they're usually with the TrackMan technology. We have a TrackMan that we can use in our swing area here at Carl Albert that we have in an old hitting area. And it gives guys data on, swing direction, club face. It can get very detailed. It can tell them how far they hit it. So it's a good tool for us to have and use. So that's been really great for us to have, especially on those days when you can't get outside. Well, now we can go up in there, we can hit, we can have a little bit more of a focused practice, even when we're, not able to get outside. Now, the simulator that I have, or the TrackMan that I have, can turn into a simulator, and that's going to be a goal of mine over the next few years as we're kind of doing all this building, and there's some great athletic facilities that are about to be getting underway.
Yes.
I want to really get after our swing area that we have and make it to where it's more of a quote simulator style, where they can play a golf course using that technology that we have. it'll be a simulated golf course, but it'll be pretty neat for our guys to have that opportunity. So we're very fortunate to have that. Yeah.
So has Colorado ever won a golf state championship? And
we had a state champion in Taylor Gooch.
Yeah, I remember Gooch. Yeah.
There was a state champion. The year is eluding me. I think a team state champion back in the 80s. So it's been a while. Golf is difficult for a lot of different reasons. I think that there's a lot of good golfers, regardless of classification. It's not a sport where you're going out there and tackling each other. So, to talk about some of the teams in our league. So Claremore won the state title last year, and they've got 2 of their players back. Okay. So that's a good solid team there. Bishop Kelly is always a good golf program. They're going to be a top 5 team every year. And then you kind of go over here to the west side and you look at teams like Duncan, always a very solid program. They were very young last year, and they're going to be a good group of golfers this year. MacArthur is one of those teams that may have the single best individual player in the state. He's committed to Baylor to play golf. So they have a chance if they can put some scores out there to match his scores, to be a factor. And then, back into the Northeast, Booker T had the individual state champion last year. His name's Harrison Shaw, and he's back, and they have their entire team back. So every year there's going to be somebody that comes out of nowhere, but then there's going to be those teams that kind of are consistent and play good golf year in, year out. I think we're a good, solid team. We haven't had a chance to go to a tournament yet.
Yes, sir.
Put together tomorrow's going to be a great test for us, and it'll show us where we're at, and I always say that I don't want to be playing our best golf in March,
no, sir.
April. I want to start playing our best golf that first week in May when we go to regionals and then state, because sometimes it's not always the best team throughout the year that goes and wins the state tournament. Sometimes it's just the team that gets hot
at the right time.
Yeah, at the right time. And it's sort of like you and I were talking before we got going here about basketball. Sometimes it's just get into the tournament and then play your best ball, and that's kind of how it is in golf, So we use all these tournaments as a way to gauge what do we got to get better at, where do we lose or gain strokes, and and just try to be our very best in May.
Yeah, Coach, like I said, I know you got a couple guys, young guys, Christopher Crawford and Cruz, some young freshmen that could help you this year. I don't know all the guys. I know those 2 because they're freshmen.
Yes, sir.
I know a lot of the 2029 kids, but like you said, you already have some other guys that's pretty good.
Yeah.
It seems like you guys is putting a team together to try to go compete for a state championship. When you got those 2 young guys that's going to be here with you for the next 4 years, plus what you already got, that can help the team a lot. I know you still got a young rider, that's up and coming, man. I got a chance to watch him play over the summer in y'all's fundraiser tournament, and he played great. I think it might have been a day he beat Christopher, but I told him, I said, I might be his lucky. I told his dad the other day, I saw his dad at lunch. I said, I might be his lucky charm. I might be I might be need to be what they call him, the guy that carried the bag, the
caddy.
The caddy. I might need to be his caddy, Coach.
Yeah. He could be his caddy. That'd be great.
Coach, I don't think I could do that. You said 13 miles. You had me done at 1 mile, Coach. I was done at 1 mile.
Yeah, I always tell the parents, if we're going to play a 36-hole event, make sure you get there in time to get a cart, because, it's a long day. But just kind of going from, my top 5 here, this week going into the tournament is Kathan Perucci, who is also a football player. So he's an outlier in general across the world of golf and high school golf. I don't know that there's another player in 5A, I know for sure. It may happen at another level. But I would think that Kathan might be the only guy that's a 2-way starter on the football field, O-line, D-line. And he's also a guy that can go out and shoot under par in a golf tournament, a real live golf tournament.
That's big time. That's great concentration on both sides of the ball, too.
Yes, and it does. And he's a really intelligent kid that, he's very intentional in the way he does things. He's a very focused kid. He has a desire to play golf at the next level. He's starting to get some rankings and some other, like in some associations like the AJGA and these Texas associations, that he has really played well, and he's really done a good job in the summer of being able to balance getting here for PC and then getting his golf in. So he's a kid that, he's got goals and he works hard. So I'm excited for Kathan. I really think that he's a guy that if he can put 3 rounds together in that state tournament, he could be a guy that's up on that podium, and that would be really cool for him. And if he's doing that, then as a team, then we're probably in a pretty good spot. The senior that I have, I got a couple seniors, but the senior that I have that is a 3-year guy for me. We should be if we continue on our path. He's a 3-year state tournament guy. Is Blake Stewart, and he's just been a solid player. He is a very talented golfer, and that's all he does is golf. And I think this is, he told me the other day, he's like, this is probably going to be it for me. I'll play golf, but I don't have any desire to go and play college golf. But he's one of those guys, you come out there and watch him play, and you'd be like, man, that guy, he's the real deal. So, that's exciting for him. I look for him to have a really good season. The 2 freshmen that you talked about, Christopher Crawford, obviously is a very talented golfer, freshman, and he's kind of the same way as Kathan. He plays a lot of tournaments, and he goes and plays a lot of competitive golf, so he's all in, and I think that's where his passion is at. But I think it's great that he also plays basketball. I've got Kathan that plays football. I've got a little freshman named Drummond that plays football, and then they play golf. I love it. I've got Christopher Crawford and Cruz Kaufman and Ryder Mulaski. Those guys all played basketball, and then they come to the golf course, and I think that's great. I love, you obviously know this about Carl Albert. We want our kids to do everything, and I think it's awesome when we have golfers that play other sports, because I just think it's a good thing. I know golf's one of those sports though where people kind of start making choices on, not doing other things, but I think we've got some kids that are athletes and they're good at those other sports. So I want them to really keep competing in those other sports,
Well, Coach, you talk about, an athlete. I think you got to be a super athlete to take a ball and hit it and have it come spin back and all that. I mean, I couldn't. I don't know how people do it, man. I give it up to the guys that play golf. One, it's hot. 2, you have a bad shot. You can't really scream and cuss because everybody's watching you.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know. You have to have the concentration, man, to swing your back got to be strong, and I swing a golf club like a softball, like I'm trying to hit a softball. So you gotta be conditioning for it. You notice when Tiger first started, he was a real skinny guy. And now you start seeing these golfers, they're all lifting weights and getting bigger and stronger now. Just to, I guess one to drive the ball. And why I say this, because I know Mulaski said this about Ryder today, because man, he got to put on a little bit more weight. And I was like, why? He's like, no, man, to be able to drive that ball, on the fairway we tee off. So I can understand that, though. I think it's a tough sport. I think it's a sport that, man, you got to be mentally under control, man. If not, man, you can go from being up to, like you said, shooting over 100 that quick if you start getting a lot of bogeys and all that. So
it's
a tough sport.
It's a changing sport in the strength and conditioning world for sure. Kind of rounding out my top 5, Ty McAvoy, who was just out of it last year. We went to a regional preview tournament, and he shoots like a 74. Well, the other 2 guys that were competing against him that day to get the 4 or 5 spot, they just happened to shoot like 72, 73. So that's how my team was last year. Also, is very, very competitive. But Ty McAvoy is my 5 bag this year, and he's a kid who. Christopher's in advanced weights with Coach Douglas. Kathan's in advanced weights with Coach Douglas because he's a football player. Yeah. And Ty is in there just as a golfer. And I've seen a lot of great strides in guys. And Coach Douglas does a great job in our weight room and just a wealth of knowledge there on strength and conditioning. But I've just seen, I've seen Ty just advance, and I think that he's poised to have a really good year too. I mean, we could be sitting here in 2 months, and I could be talking about, Ty McAvoy is playing as good as anybody in the state, So that's what I'm excited about this group is I think I could say that about any one of my 5 that I'm taking tomorrow. And then I've even got some guys like you've mentioned, Ryder Mulaski. I've got Cruz Kaufman. I've got a kid that was a baseball player that is coming out and trying to give golf a shot, and he's a good golfer, Adam Head. and Will Falquette, who his brother was a state champion tennis player. So I've got a lot of guys, and I'm excited to see them have a good JV season and just kind of see what they can do. And then maybe at the end of the year, they force my hand and I say, hey, I got a 5, 6, 7 battle, and we're going to walk out here to Conrad and we're going to play 18 holes and figure out, who the guy is that gets to go to the regional,
That's it.
and that's good in that way. And then I love it if those 5 guys just take off and they're the guys all year. I also like that situation, but we'll just see how it goes.
Well, Coach, you talk about you coaching at, Carl Albert. Now, don't you coach Little League too with your sons, or are you involved in that too?
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's a little bit hard in the fall with football, but like for basketball purposes and stuff, I've been able to help at practice when I can. But yeah, so he's on a baseball team. He's just starting kid pitch this year. Well, we're actually going to have practice here in about an hour. We go up there to the baseball field and kid pitch first year. So I'm sure that's going to be really fun and also frustrating at the same time. First year of kids trying to throw off a mound and everything. But yeah, it's a good group. Jerry's out there. He's doing it. With Cam, and it's a really good group of kids. So, I mean, and guys that want to help and I'm lucky to get to be a part of it because I like being around coaching. I don't ever get to coach. I mean, like as it is right now, I coach everybody else's kids.
Yeah.
So it's fun to go out there and get to be around my boy in that way, So
it's always a pleasure to get to coach your own kids, I mean, especially, coach somebody else's kid is great too. I know you're involved in helping kids get, recruited and all those things. But Coach, like I said, I'm not going to hold you up too much longer, but I just want to tell you, thanks for coming on the show. I haven't done a lot of Keep 100, but I got to thinking. I said, man, golf is coming up. I've never had a golf coach on, and I get to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Defensive coordinator for Carl Albert, a team that's won, numerous gold balls in the last,
Yeah.
How many gold balls you've had since you've been there? 7, 8?
This was my 9th season, and we've gotten 8. So, I couldn't ask for. Obviously, I could ask for something better. I mean, I could have got 9, but
I remember
I know so many coaches that are great coaches.
They want to get 1 coach, and you got 9, 8. I mean, share some of the love, Coach.
Yeah, I just and that's again. I mean, I feel like it's. I don't make the place. There's not a coach here that makes the place. The place makes us. And that isn't talking about football only. It's every sport across the board. What I like about what I feel here at Carl Albert is if you could imagine a school and athletic program and coaches that coach a fall sport, coach a spring sport. I mean, there's so many of our guys in that football coaches office that go and coach other sports and some of them 3 sports.
Yes, sir.
Like Coach Couch, which that man's incredible because he runs our summer program as well. But guys that are invested in these kids, and it just feels like, I don't know, it feels like you went in the time machine and you went back. And I feel like that's what separates, Carl Albert maybe from some other places is that I just feel like when you come here, there's obviously great pride, not just in football, but in being a Titan, being from Carl Albert. And I think that we got coaches that, they look at it the same way I do. It's a privilege to get to coach here. We have kids that show up, and hey, not everybody's perfect. Sometimes you gotta get them on the right track, or help them out where needed. But I just really fortunate, and it's been really great. So I appreciate how you represent the world of high school sports and how you promote not just Carl Albert, but I think Middale is one of the best athletic districts in the state. I mean, just a few years ago, Carl Albert played Dell City in the state championship for football. We played in the semis. A few years ago, every single team, which it was close this year, I believe, every single basketball team made the state tournament, and that's just really hard to do. So
no, it's tough.
I know that the Midwest City baseball team is poised to have a good season this year, and I know Carl Albert will continue their thing and keep playing good ball and just all the great athletic facilities that are going on here right now. So I really think this is one of the best. It's a top-notch athletics district along with everything else too.
No,
So
coach. I mean, the end of the point, like you talk about the sports. You know, it starts with the football program. The wrestling program finished second in state. I mean, Coach Hodges got a championship
yeah,
a couple years ago. The swimming team wins girls and boys.
softball,
The girls softball team,
yeah,
no one had them even win in state. They turn around and win state.
yeah,
You talk about
incredible.
the baseball team this year. They're going to have a chance to have a good season. You got both teams in the basketball state championship, and then you got like I said, you got the golf team, with some up and coming kids and what you already have. So Columbus put itself on the map. I mean, like I said, back in the early 80s and 90s, man, you go to Colorado, you second string. Now Colorado's number one, and then not just said it because my kid goes there, but just for all the sports. And Middale has done a great job, and Andy Carter's in a great position to be the AD of all three schools. And and what you have, like I said, when you guys are coming in with the indoor facilities and all the things you're going to have, it's going to just put you guys at the same level as a Bigsby. I mean, when you talk about high school football, you talk about Bigsby, you talk about Carl Albert, two different classes, but two great programs.
Yeah.
And Coach Montgomery, when he does over there, is great, and Coach Down, when he does, is great.
Yes.
And then I also got to go off of Miss Goggins, a big time principal that's involved in all the sports. She's at swim, she's at tennis, she's at golf, she's whatever she's at. She got that camera out taking pictures. And so that's where it starts. It starts with the leadership of you guys. And like I said, nothing fell off when Coach Roll left and went to Coach Corley. And from Coach Corley to Mike Dunn, and then bringing you and your father-in-law in has been a big help. And the train just keeps rolling; it don't stop. So I just want to tell you, thank you for coming on the show. You educated me on golf because, like I said, didn't know that much. I've only I played once a year in a Valley Lake tournament, and that's because of work. But I get good gifts. That's one of the reasons I go. I get good gifts.
You're always a great supporter of my 2-man scramble tournament, and we appreciate that. We're going to do that again in June, so I'll be getting that information out on my 2-man scramble. It seems like it's getting bigger every year, so we have a good time with that. And
let me know. We'll take care like always, Coach. Like I said, I appreciate you. Like I said, don't be too tough on the boys today, man. They just getting back in the band. When's y'all's first tournament?
As far as baseball, well, I know that when we come back from spring break, we've got our first night of league night, over there in Midwest City. So, we're going to get a doubleheader every Tuesday. So
there you go.
We're just going to be getting better, one day at a time,
That's it. I'll get to see Jerry all weekend, so I get to hang out with him, man. So this is my son's last Raw, who is for his wrestling. So, and that's awesome. Jerry's coached him since he was a baby. So I'm glad he's getting to go with him and be with him in his last tournament. So I'm kind of excited about that.
He'll be on the edge of his seat, I'm sure, the entire time.
Jerry's favorite line, he teases me. I can tease him on the show. He always tells me, because I used to always say, run it. I just say that because I don't know nothing about wrestling either. Jerry's favorite line is short time. And I just kind of figured out what short time was a couple of years ago, Coach. And it's short time. That's when the time is almost over. So kind of pace yourself into it. But he's a good little brother, man. He loves the sport. Awesome. His little one is going to be a beast, man. And it's crazy because he's done a great job. And he gets after it, man. I call my mom and like, hey, what? She said, Jerry's coaching this. And I said, man, he's me. When I was at that age, man, I was coaching my kids and everybody else's kids. So a lot of the guys just went to Colorado, Jaden Poole, Rabbit. All played for me. Played for me and Jerry when we was younger. So some great kids came through.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for coming on Oklahoma. About to say Oklahoma High School Girls. That's my other show. Thank you for coming on, keeping it 100. Oklahoma High School Sports on. Like I said, my man, Coach Herbert, the head defensive coordinator and the men's golf coach. And good luck tomorrow in your first tournament. Okay, Coach?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one. Well, folks, that's the head coach. I keep saying head coach. He is the head coach of golf. And then he's also the defensive coordinator. And folks, you know what that defense is all about. He's putting guys in OU, different colleges every year. I mean, just a great coach, just a great man overall, just, involved with the kids and what he does with the kids and taking care of them and doing the things that he does, man. Like I said, when you're spending that much time with other people's kids, not your own kids, and then taking the time with your family, Coach Herbert's done a great job, man. I've got a chance to know him the last few years. I just think he's always got a smile on his face, always got a kind heart. And like I said, he educated me a lot on golf because I don't know nothing about golf. But it was time for me to bring a golf coach on the show. I've never had one. I've had Christopher on the show, but I just think he does a great job when he does. But folks, we're going to get out of here. If I can get this show up, we want to thank everybody for catching another great episode of Keep It 100 Oklahoma High School Sports. That happens, folks. We got too many shows. We call them different names. I'd like to thank everybody for checking out another great episode of Keep It 100 Oklahoma High School Sports. And Herbert today. Folks, check them out. Come check out a golf tournament. You'll see him on the defense coordinator, man. He's always ready. He's always got that defense tighten up over there. Mike Dunn couldn't have another better defense coordinator than him. But like I said, him and his follow on do a great job, man. Both of those guys always got a smile on their face. And that's what it's all about, man. We'll catch you next time. See ya.